Morning. 11 years ago, I was asked to speak at our Advent liturgy. Our first child, a girl, was due to arrive within the month, and I was the perfect candidate that morning to speak to the idea of what it must be like to wait for the birth of your child. The theme of that speech was waiting, and now all I want to do is stop time. That child, Riley, started middle school this last month. Ainsley, her younger sister, is now 9 and in the 4th grade. They are, and forever will be, the best of friends. Sure, they fight, but more often than not, you can hear them singing Hamilton at the top of their lungs or building some incredible treehouse structures on Minecraft. Yes, they love it. Crow approached me about speaking at this morning's assembly last spring. Once he caught up to me running away from him, he explained that the theme for this year was love is the evidence, and that I should look for examples of where I see that. Well, look no further than family, and in particular, siblings. I love gadgets, be it the latest iPhone or iPad or Xbox. I love technology. And one of my favorite things to do when I get a new toy is to see what kinds of customizations you can create. What is the default, and what are my options? Text size, screen color, ringtones, wallpapers, etc. Some options I love to make my own, while others I make the decision to leave in the default position. I mention this because with little babies, it's not much different. We are all born with default settings, our nature, if you will, and others that, as parents, we try to nurture with the hopes of raising a worthy toddler, preteen, teenager, young adult, and then future parent. I would contend that when we are created, God has made us with love set in the default position. I believe this because I've seen this quality in so many babies that have come into this community since I've been working here. What's fascinating about all of these babies is the love that they exhibit without being taught, without being prompted. It's simply part of their human nature. Take, for example, one of the latest additions to our community, the Simone twins, Harper and Henry. Now, no one has taught Harper to love her brother. She simply knows that Henry is her brother and that she loves him. She was born with that love. Love is infectious, spreading around a home like the most contagious bug, and it doesn't end at the age of 1. One of my favorite things these past few years has been to see some of my colleagues' children come through Mitty. These kids were babies when I started in 1999. One of those kids was Trent Scherenberg. At the end of Trent's senior year, I had the privilege to see one of the most genuine displays of love between family members. Like most new parents here at Mitty, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to and dreading this moment with my children. What ultimately sparked this line of thinking, though, were my own kids. Riley has loved and cared for Ainsley since the minute she came into this world, and she wanted to make sure she was coming home with us.
Is that your baby, Susie? Huh? We bought it?
Here was this toddler. Here was this toddler, not even 2 years old, and she wanted to take Ainsley home with us. No questions asked. This little peanut, not more than 24 hours old. We all love our family to the end. There may be times when mom and dad or your brother or sister can really piss you off. But ultimately, at the end of the day, our love for our family is unending. So if we are all born with the default to love first, what changes between infancy and adulthood? What allows us to become people who judge others first instead of initial love and acceptance? Why are there times when we make the decision to turn our defaults off? How many times have we walked downtown and turned a blind eye to the man in need of a blanket? And yet, as children, I witnessed Riley taking the time to tuck Ainsley in to make sure she was warm. How many times have we walked by the classmate clearly in need of a friend? And yet, as children, Riley and Ainsley treasured opportunities to be with baby Santana or Simone or Rhodes. The beauty of the parables taught to us by Jesus is that we never hear what happens next. In the prodigal son story, at the end we hear the father rejoice that this son of his who was dead is now alive again. What was lost is now found. But what happened next? What did the older brother do? He could continue with his bitterness at the celebration for his younger brother, shut him out, he could even leave home, or he could revert to his original programming and welcome his brother with open arms, like he most likely did when he first came into this world. The fact of the matter is the default option is always available to us. We may make decisions to turn a default off and customize our experience, but the question we must constantly ask ourselves is, does this make the world a better place? God has given us the opportunity to leave the default turned on, to live by mercy and grace and compassion, to always love one another as though they are our sister and brother, to always have the opportunity to reset, to go back to our default. We live in strange and challenging times. It's very easy to watch the news or scan Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and want to turn our default switches off. When the world becomes a dark place, the brightest light often shines from the youngest hearts. My hope is that knowing we are born with the inclination to love everything first, we can apply that more to our adult lives. If we truly live with the belief that we are all made in the image and likeness of God, we might treat one another differently, regardless of race, religion, or even opinion. If we all believe we are brothers and sisters, love will be evident all around. Thank you.